Welcome friends! In this video I'm going to be showing you how I made this mixed media tag book. I've chosen the word discernment as my word of the year, and I made this little tag book as a contemplation of my word. It includes a bunch of words that to me describe what discernment means. I created a long list of these words and I've selected 8 to use in my tag book here. I have been collecting these garment tags for quite some time, and in fact my little box is quite full of them, so this is a good opportunity to use some of them up. I'm going to put a coat of gesso on these tags first because I want some little blank canvases to start with. While my gesso dries, I'm going to create some mixed media art paper to use to collage onto the tags. I'm using a piece of thin Japanese calligraphy paper as my substrate, and the first layer that I'm putting down is a layer of tissue paper. Now I'm just going to scribble all over this substrate with a graphite pencil, and then this is a Stabilo Marxall in red. And then I'm going to add some pastels and some Inktense blocks and a Neocolor 2 and just add some more color to this in a scribbly random way. Now I'm going to start stenciling. I'm going to be using watercolor to stencil through this Botanical Stem stencil by Missigman from Stencil Girl products. I'm using one of my favorite watercolors, which is Opera Pink, and then I add kind of a rusty red and some yellow ochre. I'm using Ray's stencil, so I am very much inspired by her style as well. And I like to drop in different colors of watercolor just the way Ray does. Now I'm going to stencil again. I'm using this distress paint that has its own little applicator in the lid, and this stencil, which is from a StencilClub set from June 2021. Next, I'm just going to add some marks and some more color with these tempera paint sticks. They have some really beautiful colors and they have a good level of pigment in them. They're creamy and they're really fun to play with and just kind of easy. You know, you don't have to get out your paintbrush, you don't have to get your palette out. You can just mark away. And to complete my art paper, I'm just going to add some splatters with this Lyra graphite stick. Look, it gives you so much grunge. It's awesome. For this project, I need words to put onto my tags, and they have to fit onto my tags, whatever the size the tag may be. I wanted to stencil the words, so I used an alphabet stencil for that. Just like I used these stencils to create these little pieces of ephemera. I'm going to show you how I do it. I have 9 words that I need to put onto 9 tags. And my word of the year, discernment, is the first one that I'm stenciling here. It's the only one that I'm showing you the stenciling process because it's pretty straightforward. This is Carolyn Dube's vintage typewriter stencil, and you can see that it's pretty big. These words are going to turn out to be very large. Not the size I need for my tags at all. So you might be asking yourself, why is she doing this? There are so many other ways that she could write the word or make the word to put on the tag. Well, my answer to that is that this stenciling process, stenciling each word that I'm putting on the tags, including my word of the year, is kind of like a meditation for me. I'm contemplating my word of the year, and I'm thinking about what those other words mean when it comes to that word that I'm trying to define and I'm trying to really make a part of my life. So that is this creative endeavor. That is this thing I'm making. I'm making these words. Each letter I'm stenciling is part of my mark and part of my effort. And that has meaning for me. These words are big and bold and they make a statement. And I know that I'm going to be scanning them and then resizing them to the size that I need for my tags. Once each word is stenciled, I'm going to cut it so that I can fit it onto my scanner. Before I do that though, I'm going to just clean up the words. I didn't take extra care while I was stenciling because that would have really made it a lot less enjoyable. So now I'm just cleaning up with my little precision paint applicator filled with white paint. It's kind of like a whiteout pen. Once they're cleaned up and ready to scan, I go ahead and scan them into my computer where I can process the JPEGs and resize the words to the size that I need for my tags. With all of my components ready and my tags prepped, I'm going to start the collage process. I've also gathered together some neutral, ephemera, and collage materials and some of my other art papers to color coordinate with the one that I created specifically for this project. I'm going to be using this Dick Blick catalog to act as my gluing surface so that I don't get glue everywhere. I like to use a catalog like this when I'm using a glue stick so that the glue that goes over onto the edges just ends up on a page of the catalog, and then I can turn the page when I need to freshen it up so that things don't start sticking everywhere. Now the only issue with using a Dick Blick catalog, however, is that you start shopping while you're gluing, people. You're laughing. I'm serious because I think I ripped out at least 2 pages to remind me of things that I needed to buy later. So I did put a piece or 2 or 3 of my collage paper that I created for this project on each of my tags, front and back, and then I used the other collage materials that I had to coordinate with that. So that was kind of my guidepost, as it were. And I did end up collaging over the holes of the tags on a few of these, so I'm using my awl to recreate my hole, because I have a little ball chain that was part of one of these tags that I found in that box, and that's what I'm going to use to hold my little tag book together. Now, in sizing my words before I printed them out, I did decide which words were going to go on which tags, kind of, just because some of them are longer and some of the tags are bigger. So I know, for example, perception needs to go on this tag because it's one of the longest words, and it's the last tag in the book because it's the biggest. So I can start from perception and work my way back. Now that I have all of my words adhered to one side of my tags, I'm going to line them up against each other in the order that they're going to appear in my tag book, and I'm going to start to embellish the back sides with my little ephemera pieces. With all of my back sides decorated, I'm going to add a little of this ephemera to my front cover, which is my word of the year. And then I'm going to assemble my book using that ball chain I was talking about. As I was doing this, I was a little afraid that that ball chain wasn't going to fit through all of those holes, but it did, so it was meant to be. And here's my tag book. I hope you'll try out some of these techniques with your stencils. I know it's an added step to scan and then fiddle with your JPEGs, but I feel like the result is well worth it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you back here at my channel again real soon.